we are totally winging this morning.
I joked that I could talk about ballot access in my sleep and that I actually dream about it sometimes. They're more like anxiety dreams. But thank you for coming. Petitioning is a huge part of what we do in the Libertarian Party of Illinois, unfortunately. And I say that because it sucks up a lot of our time and resources, and we would all rather be doing things to shrink the state rather than spending all of our time and resources on petition signatures, but it's something that we have to do for now. So I'm going to start by going over some of the really basic stuff. Many of you might know it. Hopefully it's new to some of you. Illinois is a special state. The French use that term, and it's not a very nice thing to say about something special. We're like the number 2 worst state for ballot access behind Georgia. So we're literally one of the worst states for getting candidates on the ballot. The laws are against us. They're written that way on purpose, and the State Board of Elections is seated by law with Republicans and Democrats, and we have no representation, so it only makes it harder for us. While the R's and D's are only required to collect about 5,000 signatures, we have to do 25,000 signatures, which already sounds arduous, but you also have to keep in mind that they give us a 90-day window to do that in for some reason. It's between March and June. And sorry, I'm distracted by this phone. So we have 90 days to collect 25,000 signatures, but we really have to collect much more than that because we can be guaranteed that our competition and the other parties will challenge our signatures. And in Illinois, anyone can challenge petition signatures and try to get them thrown off the ballot. And the point of that is to throw enough off of our petition so that we don't have enough to qualify for the ballot. And we see this time and again, especially our state rep candidates. It's really an uphill battle. So we are required a minimum of 25,000, but because we can absolutely expect to be challenged, we have to get a lot more than that. So our goal is between 45 and 48,000 signatures in a 90-day window. You can see how that can get a little bit hairy. So not only do we depend on our volunteers, who are amazing, but we also have to hire paid petitioners, unfortunately. No one wants to spend our money this way. We would rather spend it doing things to make the state smaller, to advocate for things that we believe in. But unfortunately, that's where our money has to go, and it's quite a lot of money. Fortunately, National does help out, and we're very appreciative of that. So this year, they have agreed to help us with $45,000. It's a dent in our cost. Our state party is going to pick up about $33,000 of it. It's a lot of money to be spending on petition signatures just to get our candidates on the ballot. I don't know how many of you know how expensive yard signs are. They are super expensive. Okay, that's a cost. Palm cards are a cost. Business cards are a cost. Advertising is a cost. And we'd rather spend our money on that, but we have to actually get our candidates on the ballot. So we're very, very grateful that National helps us out with that. They know that we have a real uphill battle here in Illinois. So the other end of it, of course, is our volunteer signatures. And over the last few cycles, our party has contributed progressively more and more volunteer petition signatures. And we see this because our party is progressively growing bigger and bigger, which is very, very exciting. This cycle, I think, is a real game changer because we worked really hard, and we have our precinct committeeman project going. Ryan Mahoney right now is our precincts director. He's amazing. He's put together a whole packet for our PCs. So we have over 100 precinct committeemen. Thank you to everyone who's done that. They're going to be responsible for 180 to 200 signatures apiece, which is really not very many in a 90-day window. And they're going to have teams of people helping them. So our goal for our PCs and their teams is to collect 20,000 petition signatures, which will be quite a lot. That's going to be almost half. And if we can do even more than that, then that's going to save us money. Because if we can collect more voluntarily, we can save that money for things that are actually important, like promoting our candidates and promoting our policies and our platforms. So I'm really excited that we're going to be doing that. A whole other part of the petition process is validation. So with the validation, and we've gotten a lot of volunteer validators, so thank you all, and thank you everyone who did it last cycle. It's huge that we have people do that. So what we do is we compare the signature on the petition with the name in the voter database, and we have to make sure that they are registered at the address they wrote down, because if not, when we get challenged, their signature goes away. So what we do is we validate as we go, and that helps us keep track of what percentage of our petition signatures could withstand a challenge, so we know how many more than that 25,000 that we need. Because the more valid signatures we get, the less we have to have in the long run, the less that we'll need to pay for. So Brian's going to go over some techniques. His techniques will help you get good, valid signatures. Brian actually has the highest validity that I've seen, and I've worked with a lot of contractors last cycle and subcontractors. I saw some really poor validity. I think one guy had like 8% validity. It was like really bad. We don't like to pay for anything above a certain percent. That guy was like, please don't send him out anymore. We don't want our volunteers to get that low validity. It's really important. A lot of people say, oh, I can just get a lot of fluff and that way I have more. I'd rather get good, solid signatures and have us do less work, right? Work smarter, not harder. So I think that's it.
Do you want to mention how the challenge goes when they challenge us briefly?
Yeah, challenges are fun. When I worked, that was sarcasm. When I worked with Scott Schluter, he worked really hard. He got lots of signatures. They were challenged, and he did not make it onto the ballot. This is what happens. This is why over 60% of races in Illinois go unopposed. And we wonder why there's no change in Illinois. And we wonder why everything sucks and everyone's moving away. Which is huge. I think it was 18 inches of freedom last time. 19 inches of freedom. Every inch does count. Size does matter. So you sit down with your opponent, and I had a very young college student, and I remember at one point so every single signature is challenged. They'll say why it's challenged. So I remember there was one challenged, and it was challenged as forgery. And I had personally witnessed this signature. It was not forged. And I had to sit there and listen to the lady talk about the way the signature looked compared to what it was in the system, and they ended up tossing that signature out as fraudulent. I witnessed that signature. It was not fraudulent. So this is the kind of stuff we have to go over. Other times they'll say, well, they wrote down this address, they're registered at this address, so we're going to toss that one out. It's not valid anymore, which really is a slight on the voter, because the voter was signing. They're saying, yes, I want this person to be able to have ballot access, and their signature is not being counted over a technicality because a lot of people don't have their voter registration up to date. So it's really, really, really important, because we know we're going to get challenged, that when we petition, we do it right. That we ask the right questions and we pitch it correctly so that we're getting the best quality signatures. Good? Yeah, go ahead. Like I said, Brian is really good at this, so he's going to go over some tips and suggestions for how to best petition and get the best quality signatures.
Thank you, Krysta. All right, I'll need you to help out with this in a few minutes. All right, so I got two questions for everybody, and everybody in this room better damn well have their hand up for the second one. The first question is, who here has petitioned for us before? Put your hand up. Who's done the petitioning? Excellent. I already see the three candidates there. You guys definitely. Second question, who's going to petition this year? All those hands right up. Beautiful. I want to help prepare you guys as much as I can with tips, techniques, and the resources that we have. First, I'm going to pick on you. Fran, can you stand up for a moment, please? Just... Guys, this is Fran Holt. Stop. You can sit down. Okay, you can sit down, Fran. Thank you. Guys, No, this is important. 2 years ago, Fran petitioned to get Claire and Kent on the ballot. Back then, Fran was 86 years old. She has a glass eye. She lives in a county where the nearest chapter is over an hour away, and she turned in just over 100 signatures. And she's been doing this for 40 years. You've done some, especially in DuPage County with the county board, you've been petitioning for a long time. Fran is amazing. My point is, if Fran can get 100 signatures, there's no reason everybody here can't at least hit that. And the technique's what? You go to a jazz festival and a gun show, I think. And then you ask every single person you know, which is what we're going to get into. So I want to talk about how to get started when you're going to petition. The first thing you're going to need is, you're going to need 3 things. You're going to need clipboards, you're going to need the petitions, and you're going to need pens. You want to hand me those right there? I like to carry a minimum of 3 with me. Hand me the other ones. Like, yeah. I've seen people double fist alcohol drinks. This is what I do. I like to carry multiple petitions with me. Now, I don't have the petitions with us because, well, we're nominating today, and then we're going to know who's going to be on it. But the clipboards are important, obviously, because you're going to be out in the field. You need people to sign in it. And you're going to need to have pens. And I like to wear a shirt where I can have pens access, or I have pens in my pocket. So if I have 3 clipboards, I've got at least 5 or 6 pens. And although these aren't my favorite ones, I like to have pens that click, 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 so I can just hand it to people. I don't want to deal with a damn cap. Because sometimes when you're talking to people, you're getting their signature really quick. So I want to be prepared. I usually have a hat on to keep the sun out of my eyes because I don't want to wear shades because it's going to be sunny and shades make you look shifty. I like to have the pens in my pocket where I can grab everything, and I have the clipboards. Sometimes I'll have business cards or other things that people want to ask about it, but we'll get to that in a second. And then I have my Claire Ball button. Before there was the Claire Ball button, there was the Julie Fox button. I discovered what worked really easy in 2014 was walking up to people and just saying, hey, my name is Brian. I'm collecting signatures for my friend Julie Fox. She's an accountant and she wants to run for Illinois Comptroller. Would you mind signing my petition? I don't have to run down the other 5 jamokes on the thing. Nobody cares. They're not going to look and read the whole thing at the top. But I talk about Julie. She's an accountant. Some people, oh, she's an accountant. Yeah, my friend Julie, she's a CPA. You know, we've never had an accountant in the comptroller position in 200 years in Illinois. Isn't that ridiculous? Usually by that point, people will take the clipboard and they'll sign it. You don't have to talk that much. Sometimes it's really quick. Some people will want to get into a giant conversation with you. This is a numbers game. You don't want to stand out there and debate with someone for 20 minutes if people are walking past you, especially if you're at a train station or a festival or something like that. But the idea is your approach to people. Wherever area you find, you're going to walk up, you're going to be cordial, you're going to be polite, you're not looking for a political argument. Because I know that there's people in this room that just love to go looking for that. And they're more braver on Facebook anyway. Once it's in person, they... But the idea is you've got your clipboards, and people see you with a clipboard, and the first thing they're going to think is, oh, this person wants money from me. Oh, this person is from Greenpeace. It's really cool when you say, hey, my name is, and I'm just collecting signatures for so-and-so to help my friend get on the ballot, to help my friend Claire Ball. It's easier when the candidates are near you. And you'll find this out because we're going to be driving all over the state. I'm going to be everywhere with Claire and Steve and probably Mike Lahaney, visiting as many people as we can. Whoever the governor candidate's going to be, we're going to drag them all over the state. And then that way, when we're in your area, if there's a parade or something, and you're walking along the route and you've got your clipboards, hey, my friend over here, they're running for governor. We need some signatures to get on the ballot. Would you guys mind signing our petitions? And maybe somebody, oh, what's it about? You give a brief thing, you pass the things out. Sometimes people will ask what party is, and that's where it gets interesting. You don't lie to people. You tell them, Libertarian Party of Illinois. You may have people hand it right back to you. Thank them and just move on. There's no need to fight, no need to talk. Nobody wants to have a discussion. You don't care. Just keep moving. But in some of these instances, you can move really quick, especially at a parade route before the parade starts. And we'll talk about that in a minute. But these techniques will help you out when you're collecting signatures. The idea is to be brief, to know what you want to say, and to not talk or drone on too long. Some of these examples are of talking, and people will try to get you into a conversation. You want to avoid those. Again, you don't want to have any kind of arguments, and you want to keep it as brief as you can. It depends on where you're going, too. And I want to talk about some places where you can go to petition. You want to write some things down? Write some down there. So the first thing are friends and family. This is the easiest thing you should do. This is what you should do first. And by the way, Jenny and I actually made 3 videos on petitioning back in 2014. They're still relevant. Some of the data about Gary Johnson's outdated, but we're going to share these so you'll be able to see all of this and get it all recapped. Friends and family are easy. That includes coworkers. As soon as you print it up, talk to your coworkers if you can. Talk to your family, just pass it around, have them all sign it. They're going to be high validity. You know it's going to work. If you could talk to your neighbors, whatever groups you're part of. I go to Toastmasters. Toastmasters always signs for Claire. You can find people that'll help with these things. Now, aside from that, when you want to go and approach strangers, 2 things are going to happen with strangers. 1, you have to be out in public, and 2, you have to be able to cope with rejection. But we're libertarians. We should not have a problem with this. So you're going to want to go out to public places. If you want to go to a private place, like outside a Jewel or something, you're going to need to ask permission from the people inside. The Boy Scouts and Girl Scouts do it all the time, but guys, you really don't need to. There's plenty of options. So let's take a look at them. Next ones are train stations. The first and easiest public one, and this is great to do during the week, because most petitioning you can only do on a weekend. You have to wait for special events to pop up on Friday, Saturday, Sunday. But the train stations, Monday through Friday, are perfect. You get there in the morning, 6 o'clock to 7:30, 8, and you're done. Only takes about 90 minutes to an hour when you catch the rush of people. And it's perfect. You have to behave yourself when you're on the platform, because the platform is technically Metro property. So... But you go out there and you make your pitch, especially in the morning. People are going to work, they're dressed, they're ready to go to their professional job, usually downtown, and they'll hear you out. And usually if you approach a group of people and you say, hey, my name is Brian, I'm collecting signatures for so-and-so, if the first person says yes, usually the next people, hey, would you mind signing did you hear my pitch? And people will usually hear you talking to one person, and you can start passing those clipboards. You can grab the first one, you can give it to the next. You can score 10, 15 of them in just a matter of minutes. And then the train comes, sweeps them away, and then you rotate your pens, change your page if you have to or whatever. And then by the time the next train gets ready to come, another load of people come up and they're there. Train stations are an excellent resource for getting signatures, and because they're people Monday through Friday, they're most likely going to a job. I know we're being judgmental here, but they're probably registered to vote. So, and that's important. Oh, I should mention this too. A lot of people like to open up and say, hey, are you registered to vote in Illinois? That's because our validity goes up when we have people who are registered to vote, but this is Brian's tactic. I discovered that when you ask people, hey, are you registered to vote, and they see you with a clipboard, they're going to say no. They don't want to deal with you. You basically gave them an option to avoid you. I don't ask them. You know why? Because if they're not registered to vote, let some asshole Republican find it and check it off the list and fight with us on it. Let them do the fucking work. I'm not going to do it. Walk up to everybody and ask them. Something else that people might be worried about, the second thing I want to bring up, is when people are signing, sometimes they'll look or they'll ask you a question. You say, this is strictly for state board of elections purposes. You will never wind up on a mailing list. That's important because people don't want their information to be sold. They're always going to worry about that. So after you get your opening pitch of, hi, my name is so-and-so, I'm collecting signatures, I'm trying to help my friend here get on the ballot for whatever, you hand it to them. And if they're thinking, say, this is purely for state board of elections. It'll never wind up on a mailing list of any kind. That usually sinks it in right there. So, and of course, the train stations, you're getting professionals, people that are going to jobs. They're the ones that pay taxes. They pay attention to politics. They're most likely going to sign your clipboard. Let's take a look at festivals. Every town has a taste of something or other, or the festival of whatever, or a heritage festival. You guys know what these are in your areas. Somewhere out in McHenry County, there's something called Fair Diddley. I don't know what the hell that is, but I'm going to be there. There's the Swedish Days Festival in Geneva. In DuPage, we've got the Taste of Who's It and What's It for like 7 different towns. We're going to come down for the Shriners Parade in Belleville. I know Mount Vernon has that's the fall festival. We can't petition for that. But all the festivals that pop up, you hit them. Festivals are great. Sometimes they won't let you petition necessarily inside, but if it is public property, you're good to go. And if someone says, you can't be there, right outside, people are walking in and out, you're on the sidewalk, you can get people. I do it for the Taste of Glen Ellen. I stand right there right outside the damn cone. And Claire and I will get tons of signatures from people coming and going. So festivals are great, and you can plan for festivals because you know when they're coming up. Next from festivals, let's do parades. Parades are my favorite way to get major signatures. And the beautiful thing about this is when you go to places, when you go to a train station, you don't need more than 2 people, maybe 3, but 3's pushing it. When you go to a festival, I wouldn't have more than 4 people, and maybe on different corners in the same area so you can see each other and make sure you're not, harassing the same people more than once. Parades, you can have a dozen. Because at a parade, what you're doing is you're getting everybody on that route. People come out, older people, set up chairs, they sit out there, they talk for an hour, that's what they do, they vote. They're registered to vote. And you start at the beginning of that parade route, or you can start at the end, whichever way you want to go, and you just start walking that route in the street, and you make your pitch loudly to like 1 or 2 people, and everybody else kind of hears it, and then the next person can leapfrog over to the next and say, hey, could you do this? And then you kind of leapfrog over, and then you've got friends on the other side of the street. You can have 4 and 4, 5 and 5, it does not matter because you're moving down that route, and you got a time limit. You've got about an hour before that parade starts, because once that parade starts and they're coming down and the noise, the fire trucks are making noises, the firing off the guns, no one's signing your petition once the parade catches up to you. But you've got a good chance there to get a lot of them. Bring as many people as you can and hit those parades. And of course, if you guys know, our signature gathering starts March 27th and goes till about June 25th. Not a lot of parades in April, which is why the train stations is my main thing to do in April when it's cold. Dress up warm and go out and do it. But May and June, Memorial Day. Everybody's got to know a Memorial Day parade. You need to hit those. I'm hitting 2 of them on Memorial Day. And the day before, the Dundee, East and West Dundee have their parade. So that's 3 parades I'm doing in 2 days. And I'm going to petition like hell out there for them. So parades, festivals, farmers markets. Farmers markets are great because you can get food. I'm serious. There's a damn good one in Will County in Frankfurt that I go to. The guy makes these fresh pork chop sandwiches. They've got asparagus. There's several different bakeries. One of them's got gluten-free stuff for Claire. And then on the other side, they're making lemonade. And the beautiful thing about this farmer's market, actually several of them, is they're right along like a bike path. There's one in Wheaton, one in Glen Ellen, and the one in Frankfurt that we do. If you guys know the farmer's markets, people are going there. Sometimes they're only 4 hours in the morning, Saturday or Sunday. And Sunday's good because not a lot of things happen on Sundays. I've discovered not much happens on Sundays south of I-80. Like, everything shuts down. I'm serious. Like, I barely find events south of I-80 on my calendar. But the farmers markets are usually a good one. And again, if they won't let you in the farmers market, hang out just outside of it right there and catch people as they're coming and going. They're shopping. They're great. You got your pens. They'll do it really quickly. They got their kids. They're going for a jog, riding their bike. I've had people coming jogging. Jenny knows this trick. And I'll start, hey, can I get a signature from you guys? And they're so impressed at the ridiculousness, they stop and sign my damn petition, which I did this in Ohio back in December. So farmers markets are great too. And the cool thing about farmers markets is they're usually weekly. So if you're going to dedicate your time to a specific festival or a specific parade, farmers markets, you can plan to hit at least one of them. And then maybe a month later, hit it again if you think it's going to be new people. Now I'll give you one of my secrets. Put down 5K. All right. 5K marathons. And it could be any kind of marathon, whatever it is. I just put 5K because it's easy. I don't know if you guys are going to want to do this, but I love this. Kent McMillan loves going to 5Ks early on Sunday morning, don't you? 5K races. 5K races are wonderful. They start early, like 8 o'clock, maybe 9 a.m. on a Saturday and a Sunday. At least by me in the north, every damn weekend, Claire and Kent know this. Every Saturday and Sunday for all 12 weeks, last cycle, there was a 5K somewhere in the morning. Gurnee had one called Outrun the Cops, where all the cops were there in their full uniform. I know you think it'd be Chicago South Side. It's all the cops would be in their gym shoes. They'd be in full uniform. The people take off running. There's a little girl dressed as a giant donut, and she took off, and the cops chase her. Hey, at least they could laugh at themselves about it, because they could have just tackled her to the ground and shot her dog. I had to go there. I'm sorry, I live in Chicago. I've got the pent-up rage. So these 5Ks are great, and a lot of them are for really good charity. This one was for a charity. I believe the Outrun the Cops was to raise money for police officers and their family of those who've been injured to pay medical bills. There's wonderful charities. Some of them are for animal shelters, no-kill animal shelters. Many of them are for cancer, any cancer you can name. So they're good charities. If you want to join in it, too. John Matthey did this. Oh, I thought I saw John. You're right. Yeah, he just walked. John Matthey actually entered in a couple of them last year. It was kind of fun. But for petitioning purposes, let's say it starts at 8 o'clock. Get there at 7. Hang out in the area. Usually it's in a park, a public place. It's on the street. It's in a high school parking lot where it starts. Outrun the Cops was actually on the police station lot. Steve didn't come to this one. But Claire and I went. And you know what? You get there beforehand, and everybody who's registered to run, they get their shirt, they get their little baggie of crap, because that's what these things are all about, getting bags of stuff. And you get all the runners to sign it. You get their family, their friends, their supporters, and then once the race begins, you've got another 15 minutes to get all the stragglers, the people, the supporters that are waiting there at the finish line when it comes back around. It's an hour, and you can snag maybe 20, 30, 40, 50 signatures each person you're with. So we used to have 4 of us go. That might have been a lot, but 5Ks are great, and if you know them in your area, look them up. Now, I'm going to give you guys a little bit of a resource here for this before I move on. First of all, I have created an online calendar that I've sent the link to almost all the state chairs. I might have missed somebody. But it's an online calendar, and I looked up every 5K in the state that I could find, along with all of these, not train stations, obviously, but festivals, parades, farmers markets, and they're all color-coded. Everything in the northern part of the state is red. Central part of the state is orange. Southern part is purple. So if you see purple, it's going to be Belleville or Mount Vernon or Murfreesboro or something. Central is, Peoria, Bloomington, Decatur, Champaign. And then the north is, Chicago and all the suburban areas. If you guys know of anything that you think is important, share it with me, and I'll make sure I get it out there. And the reason for this is because I want to make sure the candidates are going to be out there with you at all of these events, because it really matters a lot. When you're walking down the parade route, when you're at the farmer's market, if you can say, it's easy for me because she's my wife. I can say, that gorgeous blonde over there, that's my wife. Yeah, we're going to celebrate 16 years this summer. Would you mind signing my petition for my wife? I look like a great husband, and all the clipboards get signed. But you can do this. Say, this is my good friend Claire, my good friend Mike Lahaney, my good friend. Well, nobody would say that about Steve. But I'm kidding. I love you, Steve. You put up with so much from me. But seriously, Steve will be coming out to these events, and you can say, this is my good friend Steve Duttner. He's running for Secretary of State. He wants to help clean up the DMV. Would you mind signing it? And they'll look over. They're going to see Steve. They're going to see the name tag, which is a big deal. Steve will be dressed relatively nicely. He'll be talking to people. You know what? They don't even have to talk to Steve. They're not going to care. Just having the candidate there adds an austerity that makes it important. So with the calendar that we have, and with our candidates having, at least the ones I'm working with, Claire and Steve and Mike, traveling around the state, we want to help you guys get the most signatures that you can. So I think with that, I wanted to talk about the petitions itself, but we don't really have samples of them, so I want to talk about the petitions briefly, because I don't have a sample for you. There will be a video shared probably Monday or Tuesday, because they're already made, that explains how the petitions themselves work. So let me cover this really quickly. When you guys get the petitions, it's going to have all the names and addresses of them at the top, and it's going to have some spaces. You can do 15 people per page. You don't have to fill it out. If you get 1 or 2 signatures, turn it in. We have plenty of those. They're fine. What you're going to be doing is you're asking people to sign their name and print it and give us their address. And like I said, if people ask about that, say, this is for State Board of Elections. They want to prove you're a human being and you exist. People usually laugh. They get it. They'll write it down. If you go to college campuses, which I don't recommend, kids are generally not registered to vote, or if they are, they may not be registered where they're living. They may give you their college address, so you got to be careful with that. And when you get your petition filled out, at the bottom there's a bunch of information down there, and you're going to have to pay attention to the video in this, because this is where people can mess it up. But you're going to have to get all of these notarized. We have notaries in our chapters. If there's no notary in your chapter, we'll find a way to get you one. You can go to your bank. Every bank generally has a notary, especially if you're part of that bank. They'll do it for free. It's a free service, and they'll notarize it. You're going to fill out your information, but the things you have to note are this. 3 things. 1, it'll have you sign your name. Do not sign your petitions. You have to do that in front of the notary. So don't sign them in advance. You can fill in your address and everything, but don't sign it in advance. You can't do that. Secondly, there's a thing at the top that says county. And you're like, oh, well, I'm in DuPage, and you want to write. Don't do that. That's the county where you're getting it notarized. So if you were getting your petitions notarized here, if Ryan Mahoney was notarizing them, he'd be writing McLean County, even though you may live in Peoria. So that's a second thing to remember. The third, at the bottom will be a thing that says page number. Don't fill that out. We're going to do that because we have to have everything organized. Remember that 19 inches of freedom stack that we talked about earlier? That is very meticulously put together, categorized, and organized for our records and for them because it helps us in our defense when they come after us. So do not sign it. Do not fill in that county at the top, and do not fill in the page number. But there's a little fat paragraph where you say, I am this person, and I live in this town of this village of this thing. You write the county in there anyway. You write all that stuff. And you'll see samples of this when we post the video for it. And we can talk about this more once everybody gets to see the petitions. Now, does everybody know generally where you're going to get these petitions once they're ready? lpillinois.org. Right? It'll be easy to find it. You guys can print it off yourselves, and we'll make sure that all the chapters can get whatever it is they need. Ryan Mahoney, by the way, I don't know where he is. He brought a bunch of clipboards, like boxes of clipboards for everybody to sign up to be precinct committeemen, which I also should make a quick pitch. If you had never signed up for precinct committeeman before, do it now. And if you did in the past, your term is technically expiring next month. Re-sign up with him. I just did it yesterday. So did Jenny. Linda, you signed up with him. So when Ryan comes back down, sign back up to be precinct committeeman and take a clipboard. He brought them to give to people to take with you for the petition drive. So it'll get you a leg up on that. What's up, Jake? No, they're not good. They're the wrong candidates. Oh, you mean the precinct committeeman ones? Okay, just stop. Okay, I'll see what you have. Statement of candidacy. Yes, those are the precinct committee ones. Ryan's got those too. Yes, so the main petition that we're talking about is the statewide ticket. So that includes Mike Lahaney, Claire Ball, Steve Duttner, Bubba Harsey, and then the governor and lieutenant governor candidates. So Craig Barnstable, John Matthey, and Thaddeus Freed are all collecting their own petitions in their area. That's the bigger challenge. That's one of the problems we have. And I'm sure you guys know about the 5%. Once we reach 5%, we get established party status. It brings that signature requirement down. So instead of needing 2,400 signatures, you only need 700. Something that's more realistic, and then you can spend more time focusing on your campaign and less time running around getting signatures. So, yeah, Lex? Yes, you can. If you're so what I'm going to be doing, and you'll probably see me, Craig, and Thad, you're going to see me, and I already promised you. I'll be going to their chapters, and I'm going to have. I carry multiple clipboards anyway, but I'm going to make sure I have a clipboard so I can help them at least get a few more signatures here and there when you talk to people, just so people can understand. For our statewide ticket, all they have to do is be registered in the state of Illinois. So if someone's like, "I'm from Alabama," well, you can't take their signature. It makes sense, obviously, but in their districts, it needs to be somebody in their district. It makes it harder. So chances are a lot of people that sign might just be outside that district. But again, let some asshole Republican look through that list and find them. Just keep getting the signatures. Don't start chasing people away. Anybody else? Jason? Yes, that person needs to notarize their own page of signatures. And this is important because this is how we get caught for fraud. Sometimes somebody will sign it, and then somebody else will do that. Whoever gets those signatures. So if you have friends that are getting signatures, they have to get it notarized themselves. Again, it's not a problem, and there's dozens of people around the state that will just submit half a page or one page, but all those signatures help. But just keep on top of your friends if you know people that are going to do that. Oh, go for it. Sorry.
Please keep your petition signatures. Keep them. Don't give them to someone else. Don't let someone else collect signatures on your sheet. we need to make sure that we maintain our integrity and that there's never any doubt that my signatures are mine. I collected them. They were notarized. I signed them. These are mine. And, you can go with someone and you can take them, but don't take their sheets and get them notarized. Make sure that everything stays separate just so that we know on our end that we didn't commit any fraud. So in Illinois, we cannot register people. In Illinois, they have certified registrars, and you have to be an approved political group to get your group certified for that. There's some hoops to jump through, but because we're not an established political party in Illinois, we're not allowed to pursue that process. So, for example, the League of Women Voters is an established group, and they are certified registrars, and they can go out and do registration drives. That is something that you should be able to pursue at the same time. No, you can't do it at the same time. But registration is a really great outreach. I'm originally from Oregon, and that was one thing that we would love to do is do tabling and register people to vote. And so that's probably something that you guys could definitely pursue as like a chapter and do that. But don't ever have those registration sheets while you're petitioning. Keep them very, not even the same day. Stay far away from them.
That's fine.
Just stay far away from them while you're petitioning. Point them in that direction, absolutely. Yeah. Just make sure it's clear that you're not, like Bennett said, no electioneering while you're petitioning. I would just say you can do that online now if you'd like, and leave it at that.
Just keep it safe.
I don't want to get challenged and then hear, well, this person did XYZ, and we're going to throw off all 500,000 signatures they collected. I never want that to happen to us.
Yeah, they could technically, if they can prove that you somehow did that and you turned in like 1,200 signatures, they will throw all 1,200 of yours off in one swoop. They've done it to us, to people. Julie Fox and I fought at the State Board of Elections last time. I remember them asking questions like, do you live at your home address? They try to find anything they can if they can go after you.
Donnie? They can sign a petition for an established party, and they can sign a petition for a forming party, but they can't sign ours and then sign the Green Party. And so say someone signs us and they sign the Greens. Whoever's petitions are turned in first, their signature will count for that, and it'll get knocked right off ours.
Yep. We gotta move, guys. Thank you, guys.
Thank you all very much.